Look at all these books that I have to talk about today. My name is Colby Sharp. I'm a 5th grade teacher in Michigan. Welcome to my channel where we try to help kids fall in love with reading. And one way that we do that is through talking about things that readers do. And one thing that readers do is they make to-read lists. Readers have a plan. They don't always stick to the plan, but they often are not only reading something, but they're thinking about what they want to read next. And I have here 10, 20, 21 books that are on my to-read list, and I'm going to be telling you about them today. I will put a list of all of these books in the description of this video, so if any of them look good, you can add them to your to-read list. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about each one. I don't know a ton, obviously, because I have not read them, but I'll talk a little bit about how they made it onto my list. I also want to say that there's a good chance that some of these books, sadly, I will never read. That's kind of sad because they're on my to-read list and I'm making a video about them. Some of these books I will devour. Some of these books I might even abandon. But what I know is right now my plan is to read all of these books. New books will be added to this pile. Books will be taken off of this pile. That's just kind of how it works with readers. And I have these conversations with my 5th graders all the time when we're talking about our reading plans, when we're talking about our to-read list. It's my one-eyed cat, Uno. She's checking out some great 2021 books over there. First up, Flight of the Puffin. Check this out. You may be familiar with Anne's work from her book, The Benefits of Being an Octopus, which I absolutely loved. And I was reading the back of this book, and I'll just tell you what it says. It says, one small act of kindness ripples out to connect 4 kids in a stirring novel by author of the beloved The Benefits of Being an Octopus. I know Anne's stories are powerful. I'm so excited to read this one. Another reason this book is added to my list is, I don't know if you can see that, but this book is one of Nancy Paulson's books. And Nancy Paulson is one of my favorite editors. And that's something that I never thought would become part of how I decide what books to read. But if Nancy Paulson is publishing it, if Nancy Paulson bought this book to bring it into the world, I know that it's probably going to be amazing. She does not steer us wrong. She's published so many amazing books. I can't wait to read Anne's latest, Flight of the Puffin. What a great title. Sounds like it might be like a book where the main character has had some issues being a bully and kind of figuring that out, which I always love looking at that from the other side. So often in books, it's the kid who's getting bullied who is the center of everything. So super excited about that. This one, Red, White, and Whole. So I actually know zero about this book other than it is a novel in verse. The reason that it is on my list is because all over my Twitter feed, all over my Instagram feed is this book. Like, it just keeps popping up. I keep seeing people reading it and I keep seeing people saying good things about it. So I bought it and I'm going to read it. This is actually probably the book that I will read first out of all of these because so many people are talking about it and I just want to know what all the buzz is about. So I've been hearing really good things about Red, White, and Whole, and I'm excited to read it. And that's why it's on my to-read list, right? One of the reasons that we put books on our to-read list is because readers that we respect and we think highly of are talking about a book. We know that it might be something we want to look out for. Next up, I have 2 chapter books. So the first couple books were middle grade, maybe 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. 8th grade readers. These are more like 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade readers. Designed for them, obviously. Kids older can read them, kids younger can read them. But Simon B. Ryman by Dwayne Reed, who is the rapping teacher. I'm a teacher, not a rapping teacher. I'm just a reading teacher, but it sounds cool. It sounds fun. It's just got that chapter book feel. It looks, I think a lot of times teachers make really great authors. So many of our authors that we look up to and author friends were educators at some point. So I'm excited about this. I'm excited to read this one. I don't know anything about it other than it looks fun and a chapter book. And I need to read more chapter books. Middle grade fiction is my jam. Those longer novels written for upper elementary, middle school kids. That's my jam. That's my special sauce. So I'm trying to read more for some of my kids who maybe aren't ready for that. I need to have more books that I can book talk them. So I'm thinking this one will be great. And then of course, Erin Entrada Kelly, maybe Marisol Rainey. You may know Erin Entrada Kelly because she's won a Newbery Medal, and she just won a Newbery honor for We Dream of Space, which is one of my favorite books of 2020. Oh, I loved it so much. Bird. Cash, what a great book. So I'm super excited for this. I don't know anything about it other than I trust Erin Entrada Kelly. I'll read anything she writes. So there you have it. That's an easy way to add books to our to-read list, right? When authors that we know and trust and believe in create new books, we read them. Erin Entrada Kelly is definitely on that list for me. Next up, this one's a little bit different. This one appears to be like an anthology. Like we have a lot of different creators who've written a bunch of stories. It's called Ancestor Approved, Intertribal Stories for Kids. So we need more native voices in our classrooms. Most libraries do. And look, we have all of these creators. So what I'm hoping for when reading this book is I'm going to have a bunch of stories that I could share with readers, but also I'm thinking that I'm going to learn about a bunch of new creators. So I'm always looking for text like this, shorter stories that maybe we can pull in and do a lesson in, or maybe just enjoy the story, but also introducing me to new writers. And Cynthia Leidick-Smith is the editor of this, and I have so much faith in her as a creator that like her name on the cover is an instant stamp of approval for me and makes me know that I can trust that these stories are going to give an accurate representation of Native life. I know a lot of times that's something that doesn't always happen in children's literature, but with Cynthia's name on the cover, I know that this is going to be a really great place for me to meet some new creators and to be able to read some stories. So I'm really, really excited. Stories and poems. When it says in partnership with We Need Diverse Books, and they'll mess around there. So we know that's another stamp that we can be looking for. We're looking for something great. Okay, this is another one of the books that so many of my friends have been talking about and raving about, and I just trust these people. Like these people in my life who read a lot of great books and know what they're talking about. And it's an author that won a Newbery honor last year. So The Shape of Thunder. Does it look so good? We love Jasmine's book, Other Words for Home. That was so good. So she's back. And Rebecca Stead, let's talk about blurbs influencing us as readers. Rebecca Stead said a beautiful story. Rebecca Stead is like a beautiful story master. So if she says this is a beautiful story, holy smokes, it's going to be a beautiful story. The Shape of Thunder. My friend Mr. Shu said, Eureka, my heart and mind received a workout while reading The Shape of Thunder. I don't know what just happened. I feel like my cat just shut the lights off. One, two, three, four, five. That's a nice little intermission, right? That's Petey Man. Petey, we're trying to talk about books over here. Sorry about that, folks. Where were we? All right, next up is, so this one's a little different when I picked it, The Boy Who Failed Show and Tell. Like, what a title, right? Like, what an amazing title. As a teacher who has experienced show and tell, I'll never forget being a first grade teacher, student teaching, and show and tell was like mind-blowing, the things that kids would bring in and the way that they would talk about them, but like teaching them to, there's so much that I love about show and tell. But A Boy Who Failed Show and Tell gets his own book. And look at him, like there's just so much confidence in him. And the fact, I'm guessing that this is the boy that failed show. I just have to know more, right? Sometimes the title just does it for me. This is one of those times, The Boy Who Failed Show and Tell. In a typical school year, every kid has one or two things go wrong. Truth. For Jordan, there's a lot going wrong all the time. His teacher hates him. He's got a breathing problem. His pet's got a pet snake who has given birth to way too many baby snakes. Don't really do snakes. We'll give it a try. So, like, I just got to know more. Like, I have to know more. So that one's definitely on my to-read list. Next up, Flood City, Daniel Jose Older. The Battle for Earth Begins Now. I really, really like Daniel as a person, and I know he's a great writer. I haven't read a lot of his books, so I figured this was the time to change it. This looks kind of like a intergalactic, or trying to, like, aliens are coming or something, and that is definitely a weakness that I have as a reader. And one thing that I know I need to do a better job as a reader is to read outside of my comfort zone, because a lot of my readers in my class obviously read things different than what I read. So in order to serve them better, in order to be able to book talk, in order to be able to share books that they might love, I need to read books more in their wheelhouse. And I have a lot of kids who I think will love this book. So by me reading it, it's infinitely more likely that the kids in my class will read it. I don't know if you've noticed that, but when I read books, my students are so much more likely to read books as well. Those books. Next up, Jennifer Nielsen, Rescue. I love her books. I loved The False Prince. And then I read this book here, Words on Fire. I read that on the beach in Virgin Islands. So I don't know about you, but sometimes you read a book in like the perfect setting and it makes you like it so much, probably even more than you would have anyway. But I was crazy about that book. I got to read it like on a beach with my wife. It was just so amazing. We digress. This looks amazing. Rescue, right? You see like the planes going on. It just looks amazing. You see like those planes. So we got World War II. Kids love World War II. They love reading about that time period. I love reading about that time period. I'm so excited to read Rescue. I'm sure it's going to be awesome-tastic. And finally, the last book on my to-read pile, Alone, by Megan E. Freeman. Is that a haunting cover? I'm not exactly sure what this book is about, but the publicist of this book emailed me, and she wrote this like email that made me think about Hatchet, which is like my book that I fell in love with reading. Like, I have a Hatchet from when I was 10 or 9, but like I just had to read it. I believe it's a novel in verse. I believe like this girl wanders off and is stuck somewhere, and it just sounds captivating and exciting. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to read all of these books. So those are 10 books on my to-read list. I would love to know in the comments below, thanks if you made it this far in the video, I would love to know in the comments below what books are on your to-read list, how you decide what books to read, and just what are you looking forward to as we charge ahead in 2021 to fill your heart and fill your soul with great stories. I'm sure there's some great books on your to-read list. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have an awesome-tastic day. My name is Colby Sharp. Thank you for watching.